Hello everyone, this is Robert Baratheon of the New Versailles blog, putting up a very quick video on how GamerGate can win big at the Society of Professional Journalists panel that Mike Koretzky is currently setting up. Let's first consider the obvious. Opponents of GamerGate do not want this panel to happen. They aren't clamoring for a space at the panel. They would like nothing more than for this whole thing to fall apart and for the panel not to take place. Why is that? Because they don't want GamerGate to have a platform to talk about what we want to talk about, which is ethics and journalism. So if the panel takes place and we in fact end up talking about ethics and get the audience, we get legitimacy and we get a platform, which is what they don't want. Political campaigning 101. Talk about what you want to talk about, and at the same time, don't let the other person talk about what they want to talk about. So this is why negative campaigning works. Like in the last election, if Romney is talking about Bain Capital and 47% comments that he made, he isn't talking about creating jobs in the economy, which is how he can win. And if Obama is talking about Benghazi and these other scandals, he isn't talking about millionaires paying their fair share and other winning issues for his side. And so it is with the Gamergate movement. If we're talking about harassment and feminism and racism at this panel, we lose and our opponents win. If we're talking about ethics, we win. So if the panel, which is expressly about ethics and journalism, takes place and we get to talk about ethics at the panel, we win. Everything else in setting up this panel is just details. So yes, our opponents are going to come to the panel and talk about harassment and all these other issues. And we can't stop them from doing this, and we shouldn't stop them from doing this because the panel is about ethics. So let them rant about whatever they want to rant about. It's a professional society that wants to talk about ethics in journalism specifically, which we will be doing. So if the other side wants to waste their time by talking about these other tangential issues and try to derail the society, and our audience will see that. So if other members of the panel want to show up and do that and talk about women in games and death threats and all these other things that don't have to do about ethics, we should let them, because they'll be off topic and it'll just make them look unhinged. And it'll make us look favorable in comparison. So Michael Koretzky is setting this up and giving us a valuable opportunity to participate in this panel and win big. So let's please stop criticizing him for petty details, like what he talks about on his blog in the meantime, or how he characterizes this or that, or what specific policies he's thinking about in terms of moderating the debate. It's unrealistic for us to ask him to prevent the other side from talking about harassment at all, because that is their main stated reason for being against Gamergate. So just like we're allowed to talk about why we support Gamergate, they should be allowed to talk about why they're against Gamergate. However unreasonable or ridiculous those reasons are, they need to be allowed to talk about that, and should be, because we're going to be talking about the issues and they're going to be talking about their own nonsense. So we don't need to handicap our opponents and ban them from talking about what they want to talk about. Just let them show up and talk about whatever they want, and we'll beat them in a fair contest, which we haven't received so far. But this panel could be a valuable opportunity to be. So the only aspect of this panel I don't particularly like, if we're getting into it, is the suggestion of having so-called neutral parties participate, just because I think that both sides can represent themselves just fine. We can give the pro sides, they can give the anti sides, and why do we need anything else? And it just provides an opportunity for our opponents to distract by claiming that the panel is biased and that the neutrals aren't really neutral, that they're really pro Gamergate, and or saying that neutrality isn't even possible on this issue, and just all these other distractions from the main issues. So I'd much prefer just not even to let that on the table, just by not having neutrals. I don't think it's necessary, and it's only going to potentially derail the issue, as we've seen our opponents try to do before. But other than that, and if we have neutrals on the panel, then that's just the way it's set up, and we'll get around that. But this is a great opportunity overall. However the panel's set up, we should participate in it, make the most of it, talk about ethics, let the other side talk about whatever irrelevancies they want to talk about, and use the platform and get legitimacy for the movement and speak to a broader professional audience. So those are my thoughts, and thank you for listening.